Hey, how are you today? Welcome to the next installment of the Next Evolution Athletics online nutrition series. Today we're going to talk about a very controversial macronutrient, the carbohydrate. In recent years, the carbohydrate has been touted as the scourge of all metabolic health in Western civilization and the savior of metabolic health in Western civilization. Honestly, folks, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. To be honest, there's good times to have carbohydrates and times that are more beneficial to have them, as well as times that are not so beneficial to have them. I'll be getting into more things like that through a series of these little mini lectures I've been doing on macronutrients and the nutrition for you guys, so as to not just overwhelm you in one shot. Today, we're just going to talk about the basics of carbohydrate and what it is and what it does. So first things first, let's just break it down. A carbohydrate is a macronutrient that's made up of a carbon, a hydrogen, and an oxygen molecule. That's it. Okay, it's obtained. The bulk of our diet obtains it from plants, and all living cells have carbohydrates. Okay, it can be used as the primary fuel source for our brain, our central nervous system, as well as exercise. So it's super important to have carbohydrates when you're training hard. It also aids in recovery, which again, super important if you're training hard and you're an athlete, or just a regular Joe that trains hard. Next thing to understand is that it can be divided into several classifications. It can be divided into monosaccharides, disaccharides, polysaccharides, and I hate this word, oligosaccharides. I can never pronounce it right, ever. So you'll have nutrition coaches argue that there's 3 classifications or 4 classifications. We'll just cover all 4 because an oligosaccharide kind of covers disaccharides and poly, but whatever, here nor there. Essentially, a monosaccharide is just a sugar molecule that can't be broken down anymore. It's like a glucose or a fructose. And a disaccharide is like 2 sugar molecules. And oligo and poly are just longer chains of sugar molecules. That's roughly what they are. Nothing crazy. What we have to understand is that all animals, when they store carbohydrates, they store it in the form of glycogen. That includes humans too. So we store it in our livers, and we store it in our skeletal muscles. And we also can store it in fat cells and lipids, but let's just not worry about that right now. We'll worry about that later. All right, so the liver holds about 80 to 110, maybe 130 grams of carbohydrates. The average liver is about 1.5 kilos or 3 pounds, so it really kind of depends on that. But it's between 80 and 110 grams on average for a human. Skeletal muscle can vary much differently because it really depends on the size and how much muscle mass a person does have. So the average you're looking at between 300 and 600 grams of carbohydrates, but people that are monsters like Brian Shaw and Hafthor Bjornsson will probably have up to 900 grams of carbohydrates in their body or glycogen in their body. That's pretty crazy. That is a lot of glycogen. Okay. The storage form of carbohydrates in plants is starch. Okay. Now, the important thing to understand with that is there's 2 main storage forms. It's amylopectin and amylose, and we can worry about that stuff later. But what we really want to talk about is what people will call almost like the 4th macronutrient. You'll have some coaches that actually separate this into its own category. I still group it into just a regular category of carbohydrates, and that's dietary fiber. It's so important that people actually put it in its own category. I'm just going to group it in with carbohydrates today at the same time on videos down the road. There's 2 main forms of dietary fiber, and this is really important to understand because they both have really specific health benefits that are really, really good. So you have soluble and insoluble dietary fiber. So soluble dietary fiber is actually broken down by water, okay? And it's really good for helping maintain good blood cholesterol, helping maintain good blood sugar, as well as keeping the bad gut bacteria out and really improving the overall healthier GI tract, which overall will improve your immune system. Insoluble fiber has a different take. It's not really broken down by water, but what it's good for is adding bulk to your stool and increasing the bulk of the fecal matter, and it actually increases your ability to eliminate it and move it along the tract faster. So it's kind of like a poo shuttle. Yeah. Folks, that's all I have for you on carbohydrates today. I have another series coming out on training and nutrition and stuff like that with carbohydrates, and we're using it for athletic and different kinds of health benefits coming down the road. So if you like what you see, if you enjoy what you heard today, please like and subscribe, and appreciate it. Have a great day.